The national debt, we don't talk about it nearly enough. It's nearing $35 trillion. It continues to build by the day. My guest tonight, though, says there is a moral imperative for the United States to get its spending in order. He is Benjamin Ayanian. He's a Young Voices contributor. He's also the author of Beyond Intention, a new book out. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, Ben, good to see you again.
Great to see you as well. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we really don't talk about the national debt to the level that you would imagine something that's nearly $35 trillion looming over this country. But you say it really is not just about getting the fiscal house in order, but also getting our nation's morals in order.
It is a moral issue, in my view. The national debt doesn't get talked about often, as you just pointed out, because it's not super tangible, I don't think, for the everyday American. This idea that we're $35 trillion in debt is more out in left field. It's not in front of us every day, and we haven't seen anything fall off of a cliff yet, right? So to speak, we look around, things are still standing. We still have businesses working, functioning every day. But unfortunately, the national debt plays a part in our lives, whether we notice it or not, and it plays a part in the future lives of future Americans. And so I believe we have a moral imperative to rein in our spending problems for a couple of reasons. First, what a lot of Americans don't realize is that the national debt actually infringes upon our ability to be prosperous. Every dollar that goes towards funding our deficit spending is a dollar that now is not going towards private productive activities that can increase job growth, create better, cheaper goods and services, and overall make us more prosperous. Instead, that money goes to inefficient bureaucratic activities. On top of that, our debt eventually will have to be paid back, at least in part, over time. So we're not going to have a $35 trillion bill come to our front door at once, more than likely, but future Americans are going to have to pay much higher taxes to fund our debt that they never agreed to.
You know, and the reality of this is, from a political perspective, every administration has added to the national debt. This is something that is bipartisan in a town that is so politically insulated, it seems, these days. So how do you get people to I mean, is this a matter of finding a path forward? I mean, is it about aggressive steps taking now, or are there incremental steps that leaders can take to start addressing this problem?
Unfortunately, leaders only seem to care about the debt when they're attempting to unseat an incumbent, right? They want to talk about the incumbent's additions to the debt without looking at past presidents or congressional members of their own party and the role that they played. What I think is imperative to get this issue under control is for everyday Americans to demand better. It has to become a hot button political issue with voters. Voters have to make it one of their top issues. You know, if there's a lot of single issue voters out there, I think that the debt should be the top single issue for those voters, because if we continue to run these massive deficits, interest rates go up, which then again reduces the ability of private companies to attract investment, and that makes us all less prosperous than we otherwise would be.
It's fascinating, though, because you mentioned that we always talk about these pocketbook, kitchen table issues where if gas prices are up a quarter over what they were last month, it'll fire people up more so than this. I want to talk about the book you wrote, which is called Beyond Intention, How Progressive Economic Policy Initiatives Would Harm Society's Most Vulnerable. Surely something you and I have talked before about this, that is something that you're deeply concerned and interested in. Tell me what that's about.
I published this book back in the spring. It's about how progressives, in my view, especially the voters, have very good intentions in terms of the reasons they have for supporting the policies that they do. Mm-hmm. I think that they're oftentimes misguided in terms of how do we address the goals, let's say, that we all share. We want to see wider levels of prosperity. We want to see more opportunity for all. We don't want to see each other suffer. We all just disagree about how to achieve those ends. I believe that progressives oftentimes identify real issues. For example, the cost of higher education is really high. The cost of healthcare is a huge burden on tons of families all throughout the United States. The problem is that progressives oftentimes don't understand what's actually causing those problems. And they put out these, in my view, very short-sighted solutions like free college, free healthcare. If rent's too high, let's cap rents. When in reality, the reason that these problems exist to the magnitude that they do, it's the result of government interventions gone wrong. And so I look through all of the policies, the largest policies that progressive voters advocate for in the economic realm, and I describe how reducing government involvement, which is often the cause of the issues in the first place, is how we can address the challenges that we all want to see improved.
Well, these are conversations that are worth having. I think as people look at the situation from many different political angles, which you are doing right now. I appreciate it. Again, the book is called Beyond Intention. The gentleman you just heard from is Benjamin Ayanian from Young Voices. Good to see you again, man. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you as well. Thanks for having me on.
And the Final Five is back after this.